Salutations to all of you. Welcome back to Gita Odyssey live sessions. Today is our 7th session and we are covering Shloka 10. Shloka 10 is such an important shloka because it is the bridge between the problem and the solution. The teachings of the Bhagavad Gita starts from Shloka 11 and up to Shloka 9, from Shloka 1 is the problem statement. So if you really visualize the whole structure of the Bhagavad Gita, I know that we talk about this in almost every class. The reason is that structure should be in our mind so that whenever we study a shloka, we can definitely connect that shloka to the appropriate structure. Structure and sequencing is what make the teaching complete and connecting the dots together. So the structure of the Bhagavad Gita is you give a problem statement. And what is that problem? It is not a particular problem applicable to a particular person at a particular period of time. If I have a very personal problem, you cannot give a general solution for that. So the problem addressed by the Bhagavad Gita is a common problem for the entire humanity. This problem was there at Arjuna's time, and that problem is still there, and that problem will be there even after thousands of years. That is what is making the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita even relevant today. So we need to keep this in mind. So whatever we have studied as the first course we did as the first step into Bhagavad Gita, and up until now, it was that problem statement. But that problem statement was presented through the case history of one individual. Why I am repeating this point is because of the fact that if you think this as an Arjuna's problem, we are going to miss the Bhagavad Gita completely. So we need to take the problem of Arjuna and translate that problem into our own problem. So this is very important. So Shloka 10 is bridging that problem to the solution, because the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita is going to start from Shloka 11 and up until the 68th Shloka of the final chapter, which is the 18th chapter. So the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is the problem statement. Second chapter is a summary of the entire teachings. And then chapter 3 to 17 is double click on each of the topic covered in chapter 2. And chapter 18 is essentially a recap. This is the structure of the Bhagavad Gita. So let's keep that in mind. This should be very clear. So now, today what we are going to do is, we are going to see whatever we covered in 5 minutes. And then we are going to bridge into the next topic. And from next week onwards, we are going to start the essential teaching of the Bhagavad Gita, the real teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. And in fact, the song of the Lord will begin from Shloka 11. So just be clear about this. Now, let's quickly see what happened so far, at least in this chapter. And once we cover chapter Shloka 10, we'll come back and recap this for the entire, in our context. That is what we are going to do today. Unfortunately, Avanti could not join today because of an urgent commitment. But what we agreed going forward is that if one of us is not there, the other person will continue. So let's just recap what happened in this chapter so far. In this chapter, or in the Bhagavad Gita started with the commencement of the Kurukshetra battle. So the whole Bhagavad Gita starts with a question from blind old king Dhritarashtra, asking his charioteer to narrate a civil war that is about to happen. Unlike the general war, where we are always on the one side and we always want the victory of the one side, civil war is totally different. It is fought between the family members, or it is fought between the friends and brothers. So the complication is much more. So here presents an hero of the Mahabharata battle, Arjuna, who is well versed in the skill of warfare. He's a war strategist. He can win any battle easily. That Arjuna is presented, getting ready to fight the battle. But what happened? The situational pressure overpowered his skills. So having the intellectual skills and the physical skill is one, but if you do not have that emotional intelligence, what is going to happen? Whenever there is a crisis comes in, a leader or a successful person, what happens? He will not be controlled by the situation, and he will control the situation. Whatever is the problem, right? He will not become a victim of the problem. He will become a master of the situation. Understand this. This is very important. This battle we are talking is Arjuna's battle is a Kurukshetra battle, but for us, it is our life battle. Every day we wage a battle. It could be at a professional battle at work. It could be a financial battle, or it could be like a battle to get a job, or a health situation, or a family situation. There are hundreds of problems around us, and we are waging that battle. The question is, am I prepared for that battle of life? When I'm placed in front of a situation, am I able to control the situation? I may not be able to solve all the problem, but am I in control, or the situation is in control? The question is very simple. Am I a master of the situation, or am I become a victim of the situation? Here what happened to this Arjuna? Arjuna, who was a highly skilled human being, highly skilled individual, he came to face the battle of his life. And what happened? Instead of becoming a master of the situation, he became a victim of the situation. As a result, he don't know what to do. Imagine you are in a problem. The only for you to get out of the problem is you take control of the problem, right? Rather than getting victim of the problem. If you become a victim of the problem, the probability of you to solve the problem it's almost zero. So whenever you face a situation, your skills, your knowledge, everything should come and rescue you. And for that, you need to prepare your mind. Without that preparation, what happens? You will not be able to face any stressful situation. The stress test of our mind and intellect we need to do and make it ready to withstand any push and pull and any situation the world is putting in front of us. This is the context of the Bhagavad Gita. If you take the context out of Arjuna and if you put yourself into that, it perfectly matches. Right? The specific problem I deal today might be different from the problem I had to deal 10 years back. And the problem I need to face 10 years from now would certainly be different from the problem I'm going to face today. And the problem I face should be different from the problem Arnab has, or Rohitji has, or Rajesh has. Everybody has their own problem. So what exactly is the problem is a variable, and it is subjected to change from time to time and person to person. But That I have a problem is common to all, right? I had a problem 10 years back, and today I have a problem. They might be totally different, but am I prepared? That I have a problem is a constant factor. Am I ready to face that problem? That is also a common challenge. This is the common ground of the Gita. And if you miss this point, and if you try to think about what Arjuna should have done at that point of time, that you're going to miss the Gita completely. So I just wanted to pause here and talk about that a little bit. So this is what we saw. But the beauty of Arjuna, a beauty of a wise person, or a beauty or the grace of a person is what? Yes, I may get into a problem. There are two types of people, we said, right? One type of people, like they are in a problem, but they don't admit that they have a problem, and they don't understand that they are confused. They don't have a solution. That is point number one. Category of people number one. Number two is what? They know that I have a problem. I'm confused. I don't have a solution. They seek right help. Be a mentor, be a counselor, be whoever it is. A friend, seeking help. Understanding one's situation. This is what we call self-awareness. Self-awareness is something that helps you to understand the challenge you are going through and to seek appropriate help. This is known as a skill. And if you go to modern definition of emotional intelligence, the first step they talk, any one of you can Google and see, self-awareness. So Arjuna had that self-awareness. Maybe good is good karma, maybe the grace of God, maybe like that is what the training he had. He understood his challenge and he sought help from the best mentor in the universe, Bhagavan Krishna. Hṛṣīkeśa, right? So to Hṛṣīkeśa, Kurukshetra, remember there's two words used. He said, I am helpless, I'm confused. And in Shloka 7, he surrendered. He surrendered in the sense, it's not that was prostrating at the feet. He said, guide me, I am ready to receive your teaching. Karpanya dosho pahada subhava, prishchami tvam dharma sammuta cheda, yashreyasyam nishchitam bruhitanme, shishyasteham shadiman tvam prapanna. We talked about the word shishya. Shishya means it is the highest form of discipleship. It is much higher than a vidyarthi or antevasi. Shishya means the one who is ready to learn, the one who put self-effort to learn. So that is what triggered. And then what happened? Arjuna went into a silent. So tamuvacha Hṛṣīkeśa. Evamuktva Hṛṣīkeśam Kurukshetra parantapaha nayotsya iti govindam uktva tushnim bahuvacha. This is what we saw in the last class. I cannot fight. And he went into a silence, complete silence. And that is a pivotal moment of the Bhagavad Gita. And that is what we are going to see today. So let's see. So with this, we are going to cover the first topic of the second chapter, which is the fundamental human problem. And from next week onwards, we are going to start the first portion of the teaching, which is discovering who am I. Okay, so let's listen to the chanting.
Tamuvacha Hṛṣīkeśa Prabhasharaneva Bharata Senayorupayor madhye vichidantamidam vachaha.
Nice. Whoever chanted, that is great. So let's listen one more time.
तमुवाच हृषीकेशः प्रहसन्निव भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषीदन्तमिदं वचः.
What a introduction by Sanjaya. Smiling wisdom. Tamuvacha Hṛṣīkeśa. So what is that? So Tamuvacha Hṛṣīkeśa. Then spoke Hṛṣīkeśa. How? Prahasanniva Bharataha. Hṛṣīkeśa means Krishna. So Arjuna said, I am ready for teaching. I am surrendering to you. Please teach me. So at that point of time, Krishna started speaking. It is not Sanjaya Uvacha. It's not Arjuna Uvacha. So he said, Sanjaya is addressing to whom? O Bharata, descendant of Bharata. Sanjaya is addressing to Dhritarashtra. O King Dhritarashtra. Tamuvacha Hṛṣīkeśa. So at that point of time, spoke Hṛṣīkeśa. Prahasanniva Bharata. How did he spoke? With a small smile. It's not a laughter, because it is not a situation to laugh. If Krishna started laughing, it is just mocking Arjuna and ridiculing his situation. No. There is a nice smile come onto the face of Krishna. With that smile, he started speaking. Senayor upayor madhye vishidantamidam vaja. To that Arjuna, who was in the middle of the two armies, who was completely down with sorrow. This is the literal meaning. Once again, if you translate that, it is very simple. Krishna started speaking with a smile to that Arjuna who was completely broken down in the middle of the battlefield. Very interesting. So let's see the at a glance portion. So let's listen to, read what is stationed between two armies at the 0 hour of the battle. Krishna just witnessed otherwise indomitable warrior Arjuna's complete physical, emotional, and intellectual breakdown. With a calm and composed countenance, Krishna, the master of the mind and the sense organs. What happened? Krishna, the master of mind and the sense organs, offers guidance not only to the confused warrior, but to the entire humanity. Right? That is the point. With a smile, this is the birth of the Bhagavad Gita. Right? And then this masterfully portrayed moment illustrates that wisdom can bring clarity and strength in the face of life's most significant challenges. Krishna is not sitting and watching a movie. Krishna is not sitting at the leisure of the palace. He has that gravity of the situational pressure. But what exactly is his characteristics? Smile. So Krishna's smile conveys a promise of inner peace that emanates from the transformative power of knowledge. That is what we need to, it's not that Krishna smiled. Can I reach that stage? In the midst of the problem, can I keep that smile? That is the model given by the Bhagavad Gita. This is what we need to understand. In the midst of that problem, you need to smile. It's not that you need to laugh or anything like that. That smile indicates that he is completely in control of the situation. The situational pressure has not brought him down. It reminds that the stability of the mind and through an emancipation of spiritual knowledge can help. Assimilation of the spiritual knowledge can help to navigate even the most brutal battle within and without. So this shows the power of the spirituality. It shows the power of the inner strength, because this is the greatest skill each one of us should aspire. Each one of us should gain this inner strength. This peace, Jesus Christ tells, this peace that passed all the understanding. That type of peace. And that is what is described in the scriptures as Shanti. That is why we chant the Shanti 3 times. Shanti, 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 He. Shanti from Adi Bhaudika, Adi Daivika, Adhyatmika. The nature can go wild, but I stay calm. The people around me can go all wild or uncontrollable, but it will not affect my peace of mind. And my own mind also will not disturb my peace of mind. This is what the essence of this shloka. So let's continue, deep dive into the shloka. So the first point, Krishna's smile. What is the characteristics of Krishna? Look at Arjuna and Krishna. Arjuna, what happened? Vepatuscha sharire me romaharshasya jayate gandivam samsate hasta tokchaiva paridahyate. This was his characteristics. My body is shivering, right? And the hair is standing. I cannot hold my tools. My bow and arrow I cannot even hold. My skin is burning, right? This is Arjuna's situation. The so-called hero, this is his situation. And what is the situation of Krishna? Prahasanniva Bharata. This is very important. That's why I'm just contrasting. So Krishna had the same problem. Every arrow has to pass Krishna before it hit Arjuna. So he is also in equally different situation, difficult situation. So Krishna's characteristics is his calmness, his composed smile. And that smile represents something profound. And that smile represents the mastery of his emotional, intellectual, and spiritual balance. And that is why Sanjaya called him Tamuvacha Hṛṣīkeśa. The word Hṛṣīkeśa is a name of Bhagavan Krishna. One meaning is what? Simple meaning is what? Hṛṣīkanam Keshaha, the one with locked hair. You can see Krishna's hair is one with locked hair. That is one meaning. And the second meaning is what? The real meaning is what? Hṛṣīkanam Ishaha. Sanskrit is a beautiful language. You can always derive more than one meaning from the root. So Hṛṣīka Keshaha, and second one is Hṛṣīkanam Ishaha. Hṛṣīkanam Isha, Hṛṣīkeśa. Hṛṣīka plus Isha, Hṛṣīkeśa. Hṛṣīka means sense organs. Isha means the one master. The one who has complete mastery over his sense organs and the mind. That person only can show that calmness amidst the chaos. Second thing is that what? That smile indicates something more and profound also. That smile tells me that, yes, I have a problem, but I have a solution also. Imagine, like, somebody had a high fever, nothing is coming down. You tried Tylenol, Advil, everything, switched everything, nothing happened. You bring him to the doctor. The doctor also was concerned. But after the testing, sometimes the doctor got the problem. Once the diagnosis is done, you can see a smile. So it's like a smiling confidently, assuring patients, saying that diagnosis properly. Yes, I know how to treat it. So the definition of a problem, somebody nicely said, a problem is a problem when you don't have a solution for it. Arjuna's problem is a problem for him. Why? Because he don't have a solution for it. The same problem for Krishna is not a problem because he has a solution for it. And what is that solution? So that also indicates his smile. That smile has different meaning. One is definitely it shows his inner composure. It shows his mental stability. And the second one is he has the solution. That is what the solution he is going to give all of us to make us bulletproof, resilient in front of the life's problem. So that's a few points. The next point is we talked about Hṛṣīkanam Ishaha. So this inner peace is independent happiness beyond external conditions. Because the external conditions can be cold or hot. External conditions can be pleasant or unpleasant. If I put my happiness with respect to people, places, and situation, what happens? Swami Chinmayananda nicely said, you are putting your happiness into somebody else's mouth. If he smile, I'm happy. If she smile, I'm happy. If not, I'm not happy. Yes, you need to keep that smile on the face of the other person, and you need to have good relationship. You should have everything, all the circumstances. But you should not tie your state of well-being into anything else. See, you want to be in control or you want to be controlled. Let's say that if other person smiles, I'm happy. Who is the controller? Who has the key of my happiness? Other person. So this is what it is. So that the happiness, authentic happiness. There's a beautiful book by Dr. Seligman. The modern positive psychology also comes to the same point of the Gita. Any happiness you derive externally, they are not authentic happiness. The authentic happiness is the happiness you find within. Anybody interested? You can read that book called Authentic Happiness by Dr. Martin Seligman. It's a very beautiful book. And then one more point we need to hear is that authentic happiness means it's not the absence of problem or pain. Even pain. Pain is inevitable as long as you have a human body, as long as you have a human mind, the pain is inevitable. But something else is optional. What is that? Suffering. So there is a huge difference between pain and suffering. Pain means like it's an experience, right? Suppose I pinch, suppose I get a shot with a needle. That is pain and that is inevitable. But suffering is what? Once you get the pain, the reaction of my mind towards that pain. The physical pain may over, but that suffering will continue, right? So it is the reaction or that mental resistance towards that pain. This is what put people into suffering. There is a beautiful teachings by Bhagavan Buddha. This teaching, of course, Krishna talks about that, but the one who repeated this teaching many, many, many times is Bhagavan Buddha. So in the commentary of Dhammapada, he tells, let's say that you get hit by an arrow, a sharp arrow. And on top of that, if you get another sharp arrow at the same spot, what would be the condition? This is what the situation of all the human beings. And Buddha said, I don't have any solution for avoiding the first arrow. Of course, you have to use your skills and intelligence, but my teaching will help you to prevent that second arrow. And then he say that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. This is there in Nagarjuna's commentary. This is highlighted many times. This is such a profound teaching. Pain is inevitable, but the suffering is optional. Modern example. You all know, right? Professor Dr. Stephen Hawking, right? Meaning what a life he had. He cannot get up. Most of his organs were not functioning. If any one of us was in his position, we would have already died. So here you see a scientist who did a lot of research, much more than a normal human being does, from that condition. So pain he had, but he never performed, meaning he didn't have suffering. And he used his life to bless the humanity. This is what is important. And this is what shows that characteristics of Krishna. Let's continue. So one more point is that this shloka conveys is, see, the peace and happiness should come at the most difficult situations. If I say that I'll be happy if I go to Hṛṣīkeśa, or if I go to Bahamas, or if I go to some nice resorts, that is not the real happiness. The wisdom among the day-to-day struggle. Can I keep my composure? Can I keep my mental stability? Can I keep my mental control in the midst of the problem? This is the lesson that Krishna teaches. And always receptive. Remain open to insights anytime. That is another teaching. And effective leaders in the modern management maintain clarity among circumstances, difficult circumstances. And that leadership quality was shown by Krishna. And you see this in the modern world. I just observed one thing. I'm not talking about war or anything like that. So just 4 hours before the battle, meaning attack between Pakistan and India, you saw the Prime Minister of India, what he was doing? He was giving a lecture to a media house, and just go back and rewind his body language. There was absolutely no sign of a disturbances of a war upcoming, because that would be the most tense moment for any leader. President Obama showed this also a few situations. So you can see these type of characters in the modern world also. I mean, I'm not comparing Krishna with any one of them, but I'm just saying that the emotional intelligence can be shown by the leaders. I have seen this many times during the COVID time, like when companies were sinking, some of the CEOs stood up and actually they led from the front. I've seen that many times. So how composed they were, how confident they were, and that boosted the entire workforce. This is a big, big, big leadership quality. Then, now, so couple of more points before we conclude. One thing is that now the teaching is about to begin. So Krishna, with a smile, is about to teach. In Sanatana Dharma or Hindu Dharma or the Vedanta, there are two styles of teaching. We just need to understand both, and we need to understand what the approach Krishna is going to take here. So the first approach is you show the student the highest, what exactly is the final destination, right? So the one type of teaching is you wanted to teach something to a student and you tell the student that top of the mountain is your goal. And then lead the student step by step. The second approach, mainly shown by a lot of masters, whether it is Baba of Shirdi or lot of Bhakti Prasthana, they didn't show the student what is the highest destination. Rather, what they do is they guide the student only to the next step. But once you follow the master will skillfully take them to the highest destination, right? So these are the two teaching styles in Hinduism, and particularly this is the teaching style in most of the other scriptures. Like, you don't tell what is that highest destination, but rather you take one step at a time, and eventually lead the student to final destination. Both approach has its own advantage and disadvantage. Let's take the first approach, where you show the student your highest destination is the self-realization or knowing you are, what you are, who you are, and then guiding the student step by step. A lot of students can get, oh my God, this is not my cup of tea, because climbing that mountain top is, I will not be able to do that. That is the disadvantage. Advantage is what? You get a clarity. What exactly you are trying. You are not going to settle with the less. What is the advantage of the other approach? The other approach means it won't initially frighten the student. It won't create like, desperation in the student. But what is the disadvantage? You can settle for very less. You think you get a little bit of spiritual progress. You think that, okay, this is it. Second thing is what? You can easily get misguided because you don't know where you are going, how you are going. You're just following one master. Sometimes that master might be far away, removed from your time and your context. So you can sometimes look at the teachings of like Buddha and Jesus Christ. Both were realized masters. But Buddha was addressing to an intellectual audience, whereas Christ was addressing to the poor fisherman. So naturally their language will be different for the audience. So this is very important. You need to have that clarity of that final destination? Go, or you take the first approach, go step by step. Now, Bhagavad Gita is about to begin. What is the approach of the Bhagavad Gita? A hybrid approach. Third approach. First, Krishna is going to show us, this is the destination I'm going to take you. Right? And then what he does, follow that other approach. So this is the destination I'm going to take you. Always keep an eye on that destination, because that is where you're going. Patanjali does that in the Yoga Sutra also. He tells like that samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi or asamprajnada samadhi is your destination. And then you go yama, niyama, asana, etc., etc., etc. But the first chapter and the last chapter, it is very clear. That is the approach taken by Krishna. So he shows you that destination, the ultimate goal, and slowly, slowly, slowly guide you step by step, holding your hand. Why I am saying what I am saying is, the first topic is what? About that highest destination. So just be patient for that first portion. But please pay attention. This is not a matter of blind faith. So Krishna is using the term samvada. It's not a preaching. It is a teaching. There is a difference between preaching and teaching. And Shankaracharya clarifies that in his commentary. What is preaching versus teaching? I tell you, Satyam Vada, speak truth. That is preaching. What is teaching? I tell you the benefit of speaking truth. I tell you why I should speak the truth, and then leave the choice to you. Make you understand what exactly it is, and then give the choice to you. After teaching the Bhagavad Gita completely, what Krishna tells to Arjuna, now I taught you everything. Now you understood. He makes sure that Arjuna understood everything. And then now use your critical moment and take what is good for you. This is teaching. Thou shalt do it. That is preaching. That is not the style here. So those are some of the introductory points we need to keep in mind before we start the Bhagavad Gita. So with that, Krishna is going to start his teaching, which we will start from next week. So if I conclude what Bhagavad Gita is addressed to, every human being who is perplexed in front of the life situation. Bhagavad Gita is addressed to all the people who became a victim in front of the problems in front of them. And the teacher is the most qualified teacher who demonstrated that skill of emotional intelligence and complete control over the situation. And that teacher is going to teach Bhagavad Gita. And the teaching style here is, you will be shown the highest goal. What exactly is the goal towards your driving? And ultimately, he will guide you through step by step. This is the approach. With that, we are going to start this teaching from next week. And the first topic is, who am I? What am I? Because knowing that is the highest destination of every human being. And then he will tell you how one should reach that destination step by step in a very short manner in the second chapter. But each topic will be elaborated in a very detailed manner in the upcoming chapter. Okay, so let me pause here. Let me stop the recording.